ass left from how much chewing I would have done in the locker room. I mean, holy hell, he was as open as it gets. But the other thing was that maybe a lot of people don't remember, and especially people like us who weren't alive for it, Michael Jordan scored every other point in that fourth quarter for the Chicago Bulls. That is ridiculous. So when we talk about a guy that can literally will his team to victory because he's just that good, it's Mike. So I don't understand after all of this how anybody is going to make an argument that LeBron James is better than him. There's nothing to me that's going to show me that. And if you want to keep saying that he got bailed out, well then go ahead, because that's just idiocy.
Yeah, and also, I mentioned this last night in our discussion, and me being the basketball junkie didn't even realize that in the game where Paxson hits the shot, they were down 4 with 45 seconds to go. It's not like the game was tied and about to go to overtime where they were down 2 points or whatnot. They were down 4 points with 45 seconds to go, so you got to score, stop, and score. And they did that. That always gets lost because a little white guy hits a jump shot. And like you said, as wide open as he can get. And part of MJ's greatness is that once he trusts you, and he trusts Paxson to hit the shot. That's why the ball went to him. It's what made the triangle offense in the 90s with those Bulls teams so effective. That's why, of course, we learned that's why Phil Jackson got the job, and on and so forth. 2 other things from me on the Last Dance from last night. We've always looked at that image of MJ wearing the flag around him when they get the gold medal in the Barcelona Olympics as him being a patriotic American. We learned out he probably loves his country, but that was more to stick the middle finger up to Reebok, saying that, look, I'm a Nike man. I am not going to display your logo on a scene where I get my medal, and he knew if he put the flag around him, then the company would not say anything. So that's a classic MJ move. And I think we've got to touch on, we knew last night was going to be the Kobe Bryant episode, and going to be brutally honest, wasn't ready for when I turned it on to see him right away. It's still unthinkable to think that he's not here. He's up there with his daughter watching this from above. And it's just seeing their relationship be told by both of them. And because Kobe mentions it, look, I don't have 5 rings without him, so don't try to compare me to him because without him, I'm nothing. I think that's going to make it a lot easier to kind of ease these debates. Michael Jordan was a competitive guy. We know that. But he also told Kobe Bryant, you ever need anything, I'm here for you. And when he spoke at his funeral that he was a little brother, that wasn't him talking in I guess, in words. That was real. They were almost like family because he guided him so much through his NBA career. So anything else from you, last chance before we move on to our final topic?
No. Just looking forward to the final 4 episodes, which should be a roller coaster of emotions. So two more weekends, and boy, it's been, as I said, phenomenal. Has over delivered at this point, and I'm excited to see how it finishes up.
Yeah, this is clearly the best piece of work ESPN has ever done. So with that, we'll go on to our final topic. We continue our dive into season reviews for individual players. And the guy we get to talk about today, we did it last year, was very intriguing and interesting. And he's going to be the same way this year. And that was Leaky Black. If you remember us talking back last year, we thought, man, he's going to come healthy in his sophomore year. He's going to be the kind of player we were told we were going to get because he was, hurt by injuries throughout all of his freshman year. I even talked to Jones Angel, the voice of the Tar Heels, Adam Lucas, who writes for GoHeels.com, and said, who's that guy that's going to take the step in the summer that's going to help this team stay atop the ACC? Both of them said, no question, Leaky Black, right out of their mouth. So we entered the year high expectations for him. I'm sure Leaky had high expectations. We know Roy Williams did, and the fan base as well. And it never really materialized into him being a bona fide difference maker every time he was on the court. Averaged 6.5 points per game, 5 rebounds, 2.6 assists. So he does, the stats right there kind of show he does a little bit of everything, but it was only 36% from the field, 25% from 3, 70% from the foul line. So his shooting numbers, not great. And the area of his game that we thought we could always rely on and could count on him being great no matter the circumstance, was him going to be a great individual and then collective team defender. For whatever reason, that just never materialized for Leaky. And we all know defense is all about effort and want to. And I get that when your shot's not falling, it's going to make it a little bit harder to make you want to defend a little bit better. But his consistency was a problem throughout the whole entire year. And it's something that Carolina fans at some point were questioning. Was he overrated? This was supposed to be the next Theo Pinson. Is he ever going to be healthy? Yada, yada, yada. I think it goes back to kind of when we talked about some other guys, Andrew Platek, Christian Keeling, and so on. I think if Carolina would have been healthy, and he could have been the guy that we thought he was going to be from the Notre Dame game on, maybe his season goes different. Because in the Notre Dame game, he gave you 5 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists. He did all the things that he's supposed to help you win, but he wasn't counted on to handle the ball a whole lot and then just score the ball and then to do all the other things that he had to do as the injuries piled up. And so maybe that's, as we get into the junior year, maybe that's when we'll get to see the real Leaky Black. If Carolina can stay healthy, his role is clear and defined, maybe we'll get the best version of him as a player.
Well, and the other thing is I think we've got to figure out what the real Leaky Black is. I don't think that if you go back and watch him in high school, he was never supposed to come in and be a great shooter. That just was not what his game was. He was a guy that had the length. You thought if he could develop a mid-range game, he could be very successful, or at least successful enough on the offensive end to hold his own, because we knew what he was as a defender. He was going to come in and automatically be one of the team's best defenders. In the limited action that we saw him in 2018-19, he looked like that guy. He looked like a guy that was going to come on. He was going to be a pest for opposing offensive players. And it was, he was going to be able to create mismatches because he could play, on the defensive end. He could play against anyone from the 1, 2, 3, maybe even the 4, depending on, what size, the team's playing with. If teams go small ball. That wasn't what we saw from him this past year. The most frustrating things were not getting back a couple of times. I mean, he's the leader of this team defensively, and he was the guy that multiple times was getting beat back down the floor for easy buckets. And that was what was most discouraging. Still had a pretty good year in terms of defensive efficiency, but was not nearly the defender that we saw in his first year. And that's the thing that he's got to get back to. I mean, at this point, look, Carolina's got the guys that can score the basketball. You got Garrison Brooks. You're hoping that Anthony Harris can come back and give you something. You're thinking that some of the freshmen coming in, especially some of the big guys like Day'Ron Sharp, Walker Kessler, Kessler being a guy that could sort of spread the floor out, and then Caleb Love, you're thinking that those are the guys that are going to be able to contribute. You'd like to see Leaky contribute maybe, 8 to 10 points a game, but this is set up to where he is going to be able to play that role of being that test on the defensive end that can get inside and help you out a couple of times a game. And what he has to do also is he's got to get better in the open floor because, I mean, he's got the length and he's got the ball handling skills too. If he's out on a fast break, he has the ability to be a very dangerous player because he can finish at the rim. He is able to dish it off pretty well if there's another opportunity there with someone on a fast break or something like that. There's a lot of things to like about Leaky Black's game. But, I mean, yeah, we'd love to see him improve his shooting, but really, I mean, I think you said it. The confidence for him just disappeared pretty early in the season, just like most of his team. But for Leaky, I don't even really think there was a point where it ever came back. There was that one stretch right before Cole came back where Carolina won 2 in a row, where he played a lot of point guard. That was probably the best stretch of the season that we saw from him, and that's really saying a lot because it was only 2 games. So consistency is the name of the game with him. I still think there's a lot of things to like about his game. It's not time to give up on him just yet. And I think that going into this season, maybe this can be the year where he sort of breaks out, because this year, even more than this past year, I think that, the focus is going to be on other guys. Whereas coming into the 2019-20 season, he was a guy that was looked at as possibly being the number 2 scorer on the team, because we didn't know what we had in Garrison Brooks, and we really didn't see anybody else that stood out to us. So with the pressure on, I wonder if that's going to play into Leaky's hands and allow him to have a very successful year.
You made the statement that I agree with. We've got to find out who the real Leaky Black is. In my head, I look at Leaky Black as a guy that is going to affect the game more on the defensive end because he's long, because he's got a build that can guard, as you said, the 1 through the 3, and depending on the program, and if a team's in a small ball situation, you can put him at the 4. So he brings you versatility as a defender, both individually, and then he can be a very good team defender. But where he's got to grow is he's got to become a better shooter. He wasn't shy in shooting the ball last year, but he wasn't very good at doing that. I have no problem with you being aggressive, and at certain times the defense is going to want you to shoot the ball, but you got to be able to put the ball in the basket. And he just simply could not do that. The form's good enough to put the ball in the basket. You've got to be able to do it. And I think he's got to be more aggressive attacking. I think he settles too much for a mid-range jump shot that, as we know analytically, isn't efficient. And secondly, he just doesn't have a mid-range game. So put the ball on the floor and attack. You've got the ability to dish the ball if you draw 2 defenders, to either Garrison Brooks or Armando Bacot, whatever big man's in the game with you at the time. That's what he's got to do. If you want to compare the whole Theo Pinson thing, when Theo Pinson was a big part of that team that won the title in 2017, and when that team got hot in 2018, he was being a playmaker for others by driving the ball. And that's something that he's got to do. Carolina doesn't want the ball in Caleb Love's hand all the time, because that's just a lot to ask of a freshman. He's got the ability to run the offense. We'll do that. But it starts with you putting your head down and driving the basket, not settling for mid-range jump shots and three-point shots. Become a better standstill shooter, because there are going to be times where the ball kicked out to you. You got to put it in. As I always said, if you can get me to 37% from three-point land and 45% overall from the field, you will not hear me complain about shooting numbers. I'll take those numbers for on any player on any given year. Well, he's 36% from the field, so a 10-point increase is there, and 25% from 3. So he's got to jump his percentages up by at least 10%, and it will just add a different element to an offense that, on paper, you have one given, and you know that you're going to get points from Garrison Brooks and I guess 2 in Armando Bacot. Where else is the scoring going to come from? We don't know. Leaky Black needs to be part of that equation.
Yeah, I mean, I think you kind of touched on it. The mid-range game was something that we thought he would be able to develop, but it's just not there. The other thing, and one of the reasons that I said we got to find out who the real Leaky Black is because everybody wants to automatically compare him to Theo Pinson because the body style is similar and the fact that he's a good defender. It's just, you got to remember, Theo was a guy that coming out of high school was a borderline 5-star player that was able to pretty much knock down any shot that he looked at. Once he got to college, that shooting sort of dissipated a little bit. Leaky Black was never a phenomenal shooter. The reason that he was successful in high school was because he was able to drive the basket, and he had the long, lanky frame that just was so difficult for smaller teams to guard. I mean, you got a guy that is, playing the 3 that's 6'7". Most of the time, I mean, in some of the levels of high school basketball in the area where he played around the Charlotte area at Cox Mill High School. You got teams that 6'7" is your center. So that's where the mismatches were at. That's why he was maybe able to take advantage of it a little bit more. But I think there's still, people were extremely hard on Leaky, and it feels like a lot of people have kind of jumped off the Leaky train and have said, look, this guy is just, it doesn't have it. We were expecting way too much. It's time to move on. I don't feel like we're at that spot yet. I think that there is still time for him to evolve into a really good player. Do I ever think he's going to become a lights-out shooter? Probably not. You said 36% from three. I don't know. That might still be a little bit too much to ask for him. But really, you just need that guy to show up, become a confident guy again, especially on the defense.